My name is Adam Auerbach. I'm the co-head of what we call our cloud and DevTestSecOps practice. So when I joined EPAM about 3 years ago, the testing practice, our system engineering, DevOps, cloud, these were all separate practices. And so we brought them all together because as clients are moving to the cloud, as they're embracing DevOps, we recognized that we need to cross-train our resources. Testers need to understand CI, they need to understand the cloud. Cloud engineers need to embrace CI pipeline. They need to ensure test automation is in place. So we brought these groups together so that way we could offer a differentiated service in the market. Please, if you're looking to connect, you can reach out to me on LinkedIn as Adam Auerbach. You can find me on Twitter. My Twitter handle is Bugman31. I do a lot of writing on DevOps and testing. And lots of public speaking. So as Susie said, one of my responsibilities at EPAM is leading the testing practice. And at EPAM, the testing practice is well over 7,000 employees, many of which are offshore. And we offer full service testing consulting for our clients. So we have large enterprises where we're doing manual and automated testing as well as performance and security testing. But we also work with clients to help them improve their testing processes. So we have a group of architects, QA architects, test automation architects, performance architects that we bring into a client to help assess how testing is performing and how the other aspects of development are impacting testing. So as you guys were talking in that previous session about how to get leadership bought into embracing a new tool, part of the work that we do with clients is helping them baseline the performance of IT. So what is quality today? What is the current metrics around defect leakage? How is that impacting team productivity, right? Because if we can show leadership that team productivity is being impacted by rework due to poor quality, then we can make a business case around making an investment in tooling, in automation. And so we offer a bunch of different services where we can look at the testing process, where we can look at the automation itself, we can look at the tooling that you're using, how effective is that tooling at finding defects and adding value. We have something a little bigger called our engineering excellence assessment. And this is more around DevOps and being able to drive more automation across the entire value stream for a client. We have a suite of different tools and accelerators that we offer, many of which are open source. And I'll talk about two of our most popular ones a little later. But obviously, the reason why I'm here is because of the wonderful partnership that EPAM has with Sauce Labs. Many of our clients use Sauce as their testing environment and are starting now to obviously look at the new products that Sauce has brought in, like AutonomIQ and API Fortress and others. So we're really excited about the opportunity that our clients are going to have with those tools. And then we also have various training and coaching initiatives that we offer as well. So when we talk about enterprise test automation, it's much more than just automating tests. And the concept that we like to talk about with clients is the concept of continuous testing. So this is not just test automation, but this is having automation early and often throughout the CI pipeline, the continuous integration pipeline. Many people might be using Jenkins, or Azure DevOps is very popular, or GitLab now. But being able to have automation that's integrated into that pipeline, that's able to serve as quality gates for the code. This is a key aspect of DevOps, so that you're shifting accountability from a tester or several testers to the team, to the developer, making sure that when they check their code in, it will pass these quality gates, and it's based on those quality gates that the code moves to the next environment. So this is, again, it's not just automating functional tests, but it's the API tests, it's performance and security, All of them are automated. They're integrated into your pipeline. And this is what we work with clients to achieve. Now, maybe based on the application that you're testing and its technology, maybe you will never get to true continuous testing, but by having this as your ideal state and being able to do aspects of it, you will be able to create efficiencies in testing and with the teams themselves. This is very difficult. As I said, this is the North Star. It is the most mature testing organizations. When you look at like a Google, for example, and this is how they're working. And this requires that you're applying the testing pyramid properly. This assumes that you have tests that can be run very quickly. This is why Sauce is such a great tool to use, because you can spread your tests across an infinite amount of VMs or devices in order to shrink the execution time down and get quick results, and also be able to analyze those results very, very fast without having a team of people doing that. And then, being able to test across the application architecture, the UI, the API, the back end. So these are very complex capabilities. So it is, again, like the most mature an organization can get to, but it's where we want people to go. So in order to be able to do this, there are some challenges. Like I said, this is not easy. It does cost money. I'm sorry, I'm just gonna shut my door. It does cost money, right? When we implement continuous testing, we're talking about testers who look more like engineers. We're talking about testers who have some type of coding experience, because we need them to be able to keep up with the changes of the application. Being able to meet the demands of the teams. You need to be able to have knowledge of the application architecture. You need to be able to integrate all different types of testing into this process. So, and it's got to be quick, right? We're talking about giving developers fast feedback to how the quality of their code. So we're not talking about doing this in a separate sprint or many days later. We're trying to do this all together. So this is quite difficult. When we talk to different clients, there is a different need based on where you're at. So you're listening to me talk about continuous testing, and you're saying, well, this is really great, but I still have, we're still somewhat at, while we might say we're agile, we still are doing a little bit of waterfall or agile fall. We still do a lot of manual testing. So how do I get started? And that's, we call the focus for you might be around optimization. So this is really trying to maximize your on-site offshore resources, being able to to take those manual test cases and get them automated. So for you, it's about having the right tools. It's about having them integrated into CI, being able to have those metrics to understand how are your teams performing and how automation is going to provide you an uplift. So that's the optimization category. So you're just getting started. You see some value from moving to automation, and you need a framework, or maybe you need to improve framework, and you need to get the right resources to be able to do this type of work. Most clients we talk to are typically in this middle category of value, which is they're doing some level of automation today, but they're not getting the true ROI for it. So they have a suite of regression tests that are automated and they run at regular intervals. They don't find a tremendous amount of defects, and the value is somewhat questionable. And so for you, this is where having this continuous testing mindset and destination can really add value. So it's, how do I take that regression suite and start to chunk it up? How do I integrate it into the CI process so that tests can run early and often? Maybe I need to look at the tests that are being run and focus more on API tests and less UI end-to-end tests, so that I can have a larger suite of tests that are running earlier in the process. Maybe integrating performance and security tests into the pipeline at this point, because you have some automation already to bear. And then as you start to ramp up the amount of tests that you're running on a regular basis, now it's okay, well, how do I solve for test data, and making sure I have the right devices to run all of my tests. And then the last category is intelligence. So here it's, you already have tests integrated into CI, but now it's, how do I make them even smarter? And this is where AI and ML can really be a benefit to you. So being able to use, there are some really emerging tools in the market around using machine learning to do test data management. So being able to use ML to look at your production data and then create synthetic data that to be used in production in non-prod that has the same characteristics of your production data. Being able to use AI to determine which tests should be run based on which coding changes. So we have an accelerator called Drill4J that allows you to do this. I know there's some other products in the market that allow you to do more intelligent risk-based testing. And so this is the highest level of maturity. So based on where you're at, your needs are going to be very different based on your maturity. I know Raj is going to talk about some of the capabilities of Autonomic, but one of the things that we offer some of our clients is an open source library called Selenium. And this is on GitHub. It's free. So if you have a Selenium based framework and you're doing a lot of UI testing, one of the things that you can take advantage of from EPAM is this Selenium. And basically what it does is when your tests run and they fail because objects can't be found within your application or test, Selenium uses machine learning to be able to go through the DOM object and be able to determine what object you meant to call, and then we'll try to rerun the test using that new object property. So it's a great way to reduce failures because of objects not being found. And then our most popular open source tool is called Report Portal. It's reportportal.io. And we've actually done some work to integrate this with Autonomic. So if you are not an Autonomic user, you can use Report Portal. And what Report Portal does, besides giving you a central place for dashboards around your tests, it uses machine learning to learn how to categorize your failed tests. So as you run your suites of tests and you have failed tests, you teach Report Portal, okay, this test failed because of a network issue, this failed because of an application issue, and so forth. And so over time, Report Portal learns how to recognize your failures and then will automatically categorize them based off of those that machine learning algorithm. So really speeds up. We have it's actually funny. I was doing an interview for a test automation consultant who was telling me he worked for one of our competitors, and they actually use Report Portal in their automation projects, and how he was telling me the story about how they won a large project with a client because they installed Report Portal. Report Portal cut their failed test triage time by over 50%. And the client was so impressed, they got the business. And Report Portal is not branded EPAM, so you would never know that it comes from us. And that's part of how we give back to the community. So we're really happy that people are getting usage of the product. And like I said, it's the most popular open source tool that EPAM puts out there. And then the last thing I'll just quickly mention is we can help you. So one of the things that we've partnered with Sauce Labs on is this testing as a service. So EPAM is a global system integrator. We have thousands of consultants across the globe. And from a testing perspective, we can help you. So if you're listening to me and you're hearing about, hey, well, I would love to be able to accelerate our testing practice and be able to get to continuous testing, but I don't know where to get started, or maybe I just don't have the resources, or I've looked at other vendors and it's going to be really expensive. So we have this testing as a service where we leverage a platform that we integrated into EPAM a couple years ago called TestSecOps, and that allows us to have a flexible workforce. So this could be using freelancers, or it could be using EPAMers. So people that are professional testers being able to help with whether it's running tests manually or doing automation at scale. So we have this core and flex model where we can have dedicated EPAM test automation engineers working with you and your teams to drive your automation strategy. And then we can bring on a flexible workforce who you pay based off of their output in order to get you caught up with your automation capabilities. We integrate it with the Sauce Labs platform. So all the so we'll help get Sauce Labs up and running and optimized for you and your applications, and then running all the tests on the platform. We can bring in we have several open source automation frameworks and tools that we can bring in to help get you started. Or if you're already doing some level of automation today, but you are still doing manual testing, this is a great way to help improve your testing capabilities. So I think with that, if you want to get more information, you can obviously connect with me on LinkedIn. You can reach out to me on Twitter at Bugman31, or you can send us an email at taas@epam.com, which stands for Testing as a Service at EPAM. And I think, Raj, you were going to jump in and maybe do a demo.
Right. What I want to demonstrate now is we have talked a lot about our application, but we've not shown you the application yet, right? Manjula talked about it, Scott and Adam, but we haven't shown it yet. So I'm going to show you the application and walk you through how it is to automate using Autonomic. One of the things I want to share with you before we get into this, I was talking to the CIO of a large utility company, and I was asking me, this person, I know him for a while, he's been super successful wherever he goes. So I was asking, what is the formula for success? Wherever you go, you just transform organizations. His simple answer was, I look for productivity and velocity mismatches across my teams. And when I fix them, then things flow and everybody is lifted. And that is one of the key to success. And when you apply that, I asked him, give me a concrete example. He said, the agile phenomenon has taken over development, but the rest of my organization, all the way from testing and beyond testing, customer success, customer support, may not all be on board with agile. How do we make sure that all of those organizations are in sync? Otherwise, no matter how fast the developers are developing code, there is no tests available. Our tests have to be manual, so it slows down. There is no learning, the knowledge transfer happening to other groups. They're all going to slow down. So there is no point of this one little team being super fast and everybody else completely being out of sync. That is the key to success. And meaning understanding that and fixing that is a key to success. And that's what Autonomic allows people to do. Today, if I ask you to take a particular scenario and automate it using the traditional approaches, it would take you some time. I'm going to show you right now how easy it is to do with Autonomic in minutes. So the first thing is, let me walk you through the application. So I've already logged into this app. And as you can see here, what we have done is we have mapped testing into 3 phases. There is a planning phase, an execution phase, and an analysis phase. In the planning phase, you can create test cases. Test cases are nothing but a collection of test steps. At the same time, you can also create test suites, which is a grouping of test cases. And then finally, these are projects. As you can see, each project is targeted at one application. And you can see the app right there. You can see the app URL. And by looking at the app URL, you know which application this is targeted. So this one, for example, is testing Salesforce. This one is testing John Deere application, and so on. Like I said earlier, everything to us starts with intent. Let me show you our intent. Intent can be in simple English. You see here, this is intent. So somebody wrote this in a simple spreadsheet. They just wrote it down on these steps. And similarly, you can also have test data in a simple spreadsheet. And you can see this, the first row here is the labels of the field, and the second row is the value, right? So it's just nothing but a name value pair, right? And you can have any number of rows here. And if you have a number of rows, that leads to data-driven testing, and so on. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you how easy it is to generate the script. I'm going to go ahead and import the test case. This is the test case I just showed you. And I'm going to import that. And then I'm going to import my test data file, which is the one I just showed you. And when I hit submit, my platform, as my job as a tester is done, my platform takes over. The very first thing it does is it extracts the intent. You see, this was the intent I showed you. And it extracts all the relevant intent. It extracts all the data, puts it in the right places, and then it starts processing step by step. As you can see here, it is going through every step that I had specified and executing it. Right now, the clock on my computer is 9:38. By 9:42, this entire 43 steps will be processed, meaning it would have understood every step, generated the script, and navigated the application. In this case, it is Salesforce. Generated the code, executed the code. The report will be waiting in 4 minutes. That is not possible using any traditional approach. That is the difference, right? So let us go see what it is doing. It starts from here. So you can see, I just said enter username. That's all I had to do. And it did enter the username. And wherever it does an action, it highlights that box. You see here, username box is with the green highlighter. Similarly, enter password. Now the password is highlighted, and so on, right? And click on login. You see here, it knows there are multiple logins, and it is clicking on second logins, and it is telling you 2 elements were found, and the second was used. You can see where I'm pointing at the point at the triangle, and so on. So eventually, we go through and get into some interesting parts I wanted to show you. So sometimes it is so fast I can't get back to where I want to show you. So here, in this case, the tester did not want to share a first name. So instead, what they decided to do was give us an expression. And from that expression, we can we do the synthetic data generation, and we can do that. So this is one way you can obfuscate names, right? And the other thing is when you want to do some verification, let us say you want to verify some things. You see here, all the 43 steps are done, and it is not even 9:41 on my clock, right? I told you by 9:42 it will finish it. It is already done before that. So let me show you. That means the script is already generated, which I'm going to show you in a second, and report is already waiting for us. So take a look at this. Here, I just wanted to verify contact detail is on the screen. See here, contact detail is on the screen, and it identified contact detail and highlighted that. So this is how we can do this in a very methodical approach. Goes through, processes all the steps, and then let us go take a look at the successfully done. And then here is the script. You can see this is the new JavaScript, the Java Selenium script that got generated. And by the way, you can download this if you want to, and then use it, put it in your repository. Also, there is a report waiting for us. And this is an HTML report. You can see here. This is the report that it is telling us It took 2 minutes and 14 seconds to complete. And it was done on a Chrome browser version is given here, and Linux. And here every step, right? Enter username, you can see that's exactly what it did. So there is a screenshot automatically generated for us for every step, right? And wherever, if you want to see, here, right here, you can see that, and so on. So now, if you want to expand this page, you can expand it and see this, and then collapse that. So this is how quickly we can go from intent to results in minutes. So this is one example of that. And if there is any questions, please put it in the Q&A box, and we will get to it. The second thing I want to show you is, what if you don't have the time to write down the intent? Sometimes that happens, right? So there is another way we can do the same thing, which is, I'm now switching to a totally custom application that was built by John Deere. And you can see here, this is the URL. So here, I'm going to go ahead and navigate through our studio. This is our studio. I'm going to go ahead and give it a unique test name. I'm going to call this June 24th test 1. And then I'm going to go ahead and navigate through this application. So let us say that I want to buy this. And I'm going to add it to cart and continue shopping. And let's say I want to buy more parts. And this time I want to buy this AM/FM with the radio, and so on. You get the picture. So what it has done is, it has actually captured everything I did in simple English. You can see here, click on the belt, add to cart, continue shopping, click on parts. So why did we do this in English? We did this because we wanted to, for compliance purposes, our customers have asked, they need an English test case, and that's what we did. And the magic happens when I save this. When I say, the moment I save this, you can see the processing of June 24 test 1 has already started. In the next 3 minutes, this processing will be complete, a script will be generated and executed, and a report will be waiting for us. So that's how you can go from intent to results in minutes, whether it is whether you already have intent written down, or whether you are automating using the studio. So that, in a nutshell, is a very brief walkthrough of the application. And there is a lot more to show. In the next segment, we're going to demonstrate Virima, a technology CTO. He will be talking about Virima application, and I'll be demonstrating the Virima app, how our application works against Virima. And then in the last segment, we will do more simulated test automation and demonstrate that. So in a nutshell, that is how we can go from, you see here, it finished. All the test steps are finished because you get the green check. And then that means the script is already generated. You get this green check mark, means the script is already generated. And here is the script. And you can see this is the Java Selenium script. And then you can also see the report. And this is the report that we had asked, or we created, which is open the website, click on the belt, add to cart, continue shopping, and so on, right? So highly flexible, highly quick. And by the way, one other thing I would like to show you is this is highly editable. So say, for example, your application changed and you have to add a couple of steps. You can simply go here and then just say, I'm just going to pretend like I have to enter first name and last name here, right? We can just say enter first name and then enter last name. And now you have created 2 steps and modified your test case to meet your changing application. That's all it took. And the moment I save this, it is saved. And once I run it, a new script will be generated and executed, and we are back in sync. So very, very quick fixing, very easy to manipulate. And also, things like, for example, if you want to clone a test case, before you make a change. It's very easy here. You see, I'm going to take that test case and clone it, and it already created June 24 test 1-1. And now I can go modify this. So very easy to do these kinds of things, and highly collaborative. I can take this, in fact, this entire project and download this project and upload this project in any other instance or environment or an account. And so sharing is very easy. So a lot of good capabilities built into the product. So I think, let me pause here and we can do Q&A. Susie, back to you.
I do want to, Adam, if you can stay with us for another minute or two. We had a question come in the Q&A that I think you provided some thoughts on in writing, but I did want to come back to the core of that question that I saw around how to integrate continuous testing as a mindset, right? And as a responsibility of the general engineering practices. It sounds like EPAM has some trainings on that, and just would be curious to hear your thoughts on continuous testing as a mindset.
Yeah, so there's a couple different ways to go about it. When we run continuous testing transformation programs, the first thing is educating the team on how automation works, how it's going to be integrated into CI, getting them familiar with this way of working, and then being able to coach them through how it impacts their daily life, right? So as the CI process changes and now they're going to be dealt with quality gates that are going to stop them and how to work through them, getting the team to work closer together, because the developer needs to understand what's being tested and vice versa. And so like it's no longer being thrown over the fence. So we have to understand why we're doing this across the team. And then we do different types of events. So besides the education, besides the coaching of the team, it's now bringing people together and doing maybe a lunch and learn, where you can hear from other teams who have gone through this process and hear about how it's impacted them, how they're working different, how the team is more productive. And all of this really starts with being able to baseline that team's performance and being able to show them in their terms, like what's going to get better. Because many times people think, okay, if I'm a developer and now I'm going to be hampered by testing and automation and these quality gates, well, it's going to slow me down. And in truth, they're already slow. They're already spending time doing rework, fixing defects, right? They're dealing with the fact that they're not having the right communication, the right testing in the process. And so being able to show them, hey, let's look at your backlog and look at where your work has been spent, and be able to show them, hey, you have the time to do this because you're spending it today in rework. And so those metrics, those events, the coaching and education, all of that go into driving change.